Hello, this is Ken. I like making things. I like making things out of paper, and I like making things cooler. Especially my figures. Sometimes figures don't look all that screen accurate. All they need is a bit of touch up here and there to unleash their hidden potential. I also love using everyday tools and materials to recreate iconic scenes from my figures, so they can shine on my display. Subscribe to my channel and join my DIY adventure as I ask myself the same question every week. Can I make it? Last week, I worked on the Michael Keaton Batman figure. That face was holding the figure back. I think I did a pretty good job capturing Michael Keaton's likeness. Check it out if you haven't already. That Batman figure was great, but this Joker is even better. I was shocked at how good it looks in the packaging when I saw it. It's perfect. Oh. Anyway, the sculpt is great, the colors are great, the details look awesome, and best of all... Okay, are all DC McFarlane figures like this? Why are these figures so bad at standing on their own? Is that why they include the little discs? Let's deconstruct this figure. There's an FAQ on the paint and brushes I use in the description box below. Balancing issue aside, this figure is awesome. They totally capture the look of Heath Ledger's Joker. Joker's outfit looks very natural. I like the way the jacket flares out slightly and how the pants are sculpted. The joints are mostly concealed, especially the hip joints. They don't break up the pants. But the best part about this figure is definitely the face. Last week, I mentioned that DC McFarlane figures generally have pretty bad painted human faces. But this Joker's face is really nicely done. It looks hand-painted, and I love that the face paint is patchy. I give this figure a 9.5 out of 10. There are only a few minor issues that I see, like how the overall outfit has this leathery plastic shine when the fabric is supposed to be wool or something. My goal today is to make some minor adjustments to the figure so it looks even more like Heath Ledger's Joker from the movie. So, can I make it? I like the great purple color they gave the figure, but when I look up images of the Joker, I noticed that the shade of purple is actually slightly bluer. So I'm gonna mix myself a purple that leans a bit more blue, and apply it all over the coat. Acrylic paint dries matte, so this will also get rid of that plastic sheen. That looks pretty neat. Let me apply the paint to the rest of the coat. Can't forget the insides. Now the pants and coat look too similar. Let me rub a very thin layer of blue over the pants to shift the tone slightly. That way, Joker can still have his iconic purple jacket, and it won't clash and blend with the pants. Next, I'm going to add a bit of pink highlights to the coat. When I look at reference photos, I do see a bit of pink hue, so let me dry brush a bit of it onto the high points. Another thing that I noticed is that Joker's outfit looks quite worn out, so let me add a bit of brown over the pants to make it look a bit dirtier. Stan! Now I'm going to mix a bit of this brown with purple and use that as my shading color for the jacket. And I can also bring out the collar details with this too. Alright, time to add the missing buttons with the black. And I want to emphasize the shadows a bit more too, but with a damp brush, so I can blend it out in case it gets too intense. I'm going to do the same to the shoes, to bring out the details and make them look dirtier. Oh, I almost forgot the best. Let's add some shading to the folds with the black too. Stan. This is so annoying. Okay, now I'm gonna mix. Oh my god. Stay. I'm gonna mix the gray now. I'm adding a bit of brown to the gray to warm it up. And I'm gonna apply this gray over the shoes. According to these behind the scenes photos, his shoes are more gray than brown. It also appears that the edges of the jacket are gray too. The jacket has this dusty look to it, so let me mimic that. Oops, that's too much. Let me clean it up a bit. Next, the gloves. They're more of a muted purple in the reference photos, so I'm going to rub a thin coat of grey over them to tone down the purple. Now the coat looks too dusty. Let me add a bit of color back in, to intensify the color a bit more. Joker is wearing striped pants. The stripes aren't that noticeable, so let me add them back in, one stripe at a time. Gotta keep my strokes clean and straight. I'm not super confident with my strokes, so I'm not gonna make the stripes too obvious. Just enough to suggest the texture. Done. I don't know if that did anything. For the vest, I've already done the shading earlier. Let me exaggerate the highlights a bit, so that the overall outfit isn't too dark. I'm also gonna desaturate the skin tone on the neck a bit. It's just a touch too vibrant. Alright, to finish off the body, I'm going to apply a thin coat of glossy varnish over the gloves to give them that leathery shine and make the buttons stand out more. Onto the face. The head wouldn't pop off. I didn't want to break the neck joint, so I gotta do it this way. The head is pretty good, but I want to smudge his smile a bit more. I'm just rubbing the tiniest amount of red around the mouth. The original paint job just looked a little too clean. Alright, for the eyes, the black paint they used is slightly glossy, so I'm mattifying it by dusting a bit of black over it, and also smudging the edges a bit as well. As for the hair, I like the green they used. I'm just gonna define the strands a bit more with a dark brown. And then I'm gonna add a bit of green to the hair to give it more depth. Ooh, that looks really nice. I'm gonna finish it off with a bit of glossy varnish to give the hair that greasy wet look. Alright, here's what the finished head looks like. Not much has changed. The original paint job was fantastic, but I do prefer the wet hair and the smudged lipstick look a bit more. Before I do the final before and after, there's one more thing I want to work on. This figure came with a mountain of cash. I love this prop, but as a Canadian, this looks like stacks of $20. American money is greenish, but the bill itself is more of this cream color. They did do a yellowish wash, but it's not light enough in my opinion. So let me rub a thin coat of this cream white color all over the bills. Okay, I was gonna do lines and shapes, but that's just too much work. So I'm just going for the general shape instead. It just needs to give the impression of the details. I'm also gonna rub this cream color on the edges too. The idea is to tone down the green with this color. It looks kinda odd now, but I think it'll look better once the majority of it is painted. Ooh, it's starting to look really cool. The stacks are more apparent now. Let me just quickly finish this. Alright, here's the finished stack of cash. Look how bland the original looks. The painted one looks so much more three-dimensional now. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the finished figure. Here's what Joker looks like now. While I do like the original purple color more, it just wasn't the right shade of purple. Everything else pretty much remains the same, except for the finish. His outfit no longer looks leathery. Let's take a closer look. Ah, this figure looks awesome up close. The changes here are more obvious. You can tell what kind of fabric the coat is made out of. I have a love-hate relationship with this figure. Visually, this figure is awesome. It looks like a premium collectible figure. But the amount of time this figure has fallen over is just ridiculous. Why are the McFarlane figures like this? They all look great, but the articulation is terrible for most of them. I don't do crazy poses, but I feel very discouraged whenever I'm posing these DC figures. They can barely move their legs. I know they provide little discs for the feet, but that's such a distraction. I refuse to use them. Okay, I don't want to sound too negative, because besides the balancing issue, these DC figures do look amazing. Joker here looks unreal, or very real. He looks like a mini Hot Toys figure. I think part of it has to do with the hip joints. Not to make this a Marvel vs DC thing, but I don't love how the hip joints look on Marvel Legends, especially the figures that are supposed to be wearing pants. That triangle is what makes the figure look toy-like in my opinion. I noticed that McFarlane figures tend to try and hide the hip joints as much as possible. While it does limit the posability, at least my eyes aren't drawn to that area. Alright, let's end this for the photoshoot. Let's start with some standing poses. It does take a bit of work to balance the Joker, but the result speaks for itself. These photos are so good. There's this realness that I don't often see in other figures. That head sculpt and paint job is one of the best I've seen. I jinxed myself last week when I said the DC McFarlane figures have subpar paint job on the human faces. I take that back. They can do it. Look how realistic the face paint looks here. All I did was smudge the lipsticks and the black paint a bit. I didn't touch the rest of the face. They just need to spend the same effort on the other faces. Here's the stack of money. As a whole, it looks very real too. That is, until you look at each bill up close and notice the patches of paint I added. But it's fine, because you don't notice the patches at a distance. The best thing about it is that I can use it to help balance Joker. This is such a wonderful prop. These photos may be my best photos I've done this year. They ooze attitude. And all these poses all look so natural. Alright, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I also got the Christian Bale's Batman figure, and that one looks pretty awesome too. Give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see me fix more DC figures. And as always, stay inspired and I'll see you next week. I can make it, so can you.